Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Fists hammered my door like a countdown. I yanked it open and my brother surged in. "Mara, 29, give me the keys now." He planted his feet and lifted an empty hand. I set my phone recording and kept my breath steady. He swiped and my phone clipped the wall. The back popped loose and the screen spidered. "House first, talk later," he growled through his teeth. He reached for the hallway and I cut him off. "Explain yourself or leave, choose fast." He leaned close and tapped my shoulder with 2 fingers. "5 kids, no cash, your rooms sit unused." "Not yours," I answered, spine against the frame. He smiled without mirth and scanned past me. His boots angled toward the spare room like a claim. A sharp whistle from him and shoes scuffed the stairs. Small faces appeared along the railing like a lineup. Plastic sacks hung from their wrists and thudded down. My mother followed slow with a flat envelope. She lifted it like a badge and held my gaze. "Proof they live here, starting tonight." The envelope crinkled as she shook it once. "Step back and sign what needs signing." I did not move and the hallway went tight. My recording icon glowed and kept glowing. "State the demand clearly, for the camera." I raised the phone and fixed the frame on them. My brother spread his hands like a generous host. "You transfer the deed and we stay forever." Silence stuck in the wool of the stairwell. Mother broke it with a clipped nod and a breath. "Family stands together, or you stand alone." Her eyes never left the door behind me. "Pick the pen or watch them sleep on concrete." She waited like a judge who loved the gavel. I unlocked the deadbolt and opened wide to the hall. Cold air rushed in and touched everyone. Neighbors hear everything, including trespass threats. The door across cracked and a head peeked out. My brother swore and edged the kids backward. "Downstairs for 2 minutes, then we talk again." The oldest moved first and squeezed a sister's hand. Shoes scraped wood and bag ties snapped tight. Mother stayed planted like a pinned shadow. She pressed the envelope into my chest and pushed. I let it drop to the rug and did not bend. "I will not sign anything under a threat." Her mouth twitched and her chin lifted higher. "You always liked rules, until rules cost you blood." The kids waited on the turn with wide, still faces. He took the chance and slipped past my shoulder. I blocked again and his breath hit my cheek. "Touch that room and you leave in handcuffs." I raised the phone higher and kept the lens steady. He stared at the red dot like it burned. "Call whoever you want, you're not leaving." His thumb hovered near my wrist like a trap. My pulse kicked and the stair rail creaked. A neighbor cleared her throat from the landing. "Need me to dial the police, or are you good?" My brother's hand dropped and his jaw worked. Mother turned toward the neighbor with a brittle smile. "All fine, just family sorting a small thing." I stepped into the space and held my ground. "Not fine, dialing now, stay and watch." I spoke the address and kept my eyes forward. Dispatch asked if anyone was violent right now. Attempted to seize property, phone damaged, stand by. My brother paced 3 steps and stopped hard. Mother folded her arms and blocked the stair like a gate. "Last chance, give him the house with no drama." She flicked her nails against the envelope and waited. "You can keep a drawer, maybe the couch." A laugh escaped me and sounded like a cough. "Get ready for officers, choices shrink by the minute." He tried a softer tone and opened his palms. "We can share this for a month, just 30 days. Not legal, not safe, not happening." He glanced at the spare door again and twitched. The oldest kid shivered and hugged a bag tighter. Sirens grew from a far hum to a near buzz. Mother's smile peeled away like tape under heat. "You bring strangers into family business, unbelievable." "You made it a raid, it's not me." Blue flashes flickered along the banister like thin waves. Boots climbed, radios crackled, my brother squared up. "Tell them we're guests, you invited us." I stepped aside so the hallway lay clean. "Camera has your demand, play it again." He looked at the kids and then at the exit. The officers appeared and took in the picture fast. "Who lives here now? Answer simple." I lifted my hand and kept my voice calm. "Me, Mara, 29, deed holder." My brother's shoulders sagged while the sirens faded outside. An officer glanced at the envelope and then at me. "Do you consent to them staying tonight?" I held his gaze and felt the room tilt. No, I want them escorted out peacefully. Mother exhaled like a door closing on a storm. An officer lifted a hand and everyone froze. Another scanned the doorway and noted my cracked phone. Any injuries right now? His pen hovered near the pad. I raised my sleeve and showed the fresh bruise. My brother shifted his weight like he might bolt. Step to the landing, the taller one pointed twice. Kids clustered near the rail and clutched their bags. My mother remained at the midpoint like a checkpoint. She tucked the envelope under her arm and stared. I kept the door wide so nothing hid in shadows. Who brought belongings into this unit? The shorter officer watched their hands. My brother lifted a sack and pretended it was light. Remove that to the stairwell now, the order cut clean. He hauled it down 3 steps and paused. He glanced up to see if I would fold. Any agreement allowing them inside tonight, clipboard ready. No, I kept my voice steady and clear. The camera screen faced out like a witness. My mother narrowed her eyes but stayed quiet. The older kid swallowed hard and looked away. Do you want a trespass notice? The officer met my eyes. Yes, I nodded and breathed through the tightness. Then confirm you are sole occupant. He raised the form. I am. I checked each line before signing. My brother snorted and shifted the sack again. Mother tried a different angle and lifted her chin. One night, she held up a single finger. The officer looked at me instead of her. Your call. His tone left no room for guilt. I shook my head and watched her mouth tighten. Escort them outside for property pickup. The order landed blunt. The kids moved in a quiet line past me. I stepped aside and counted them as they passed. My brother lingered last and stared at the spare door. The officer cleared his throat and that stare broke. On the sidewalk, the group formed a loose circle. My mother checked her phone and tapped fast. Ride is coming. She put it away with a snap. My brother kept his shoulders squared like a dare. I stood in the doorway and refused to look down. Do you want a temporary no contact order started? Clipboard again. Yes, start it now. I did not blink. List all names you know. He turned the page. I spelled each one while my mother breathed loudly. A siren wailed far off and then faded. The neighbor from earlier leaned on her doorframe. You okay? She kept her eyes on my brother. I'm handling it. I kept my voice level. Want me to film from here? She lifted her phone. Please, I nodded once and felt my spine lift. My brother tried a smile and walked closer to me. The shorter officer stepped between us without warning. Distance, he raised an open palm like a wall. My brother laughed but retreated 2 paces. The kids watched his face like a weather report. Mother pivoted to the officers with a practiced sigh. We have nowhere tonight. She pinched the envelope edge. The taller one gestured toward the patrol car. Dispatch can connect you with intake services. Her jaw flexed and the envelope crumpled slightly. A minivan pulled up and idled at the curb. The passenger window slid down a few inches. Load quickly. The driver kept their eyes straight ahead. My brother shoved bags inside with jerky movements. Mother gathered the last one and looked back at me. You could stop this with one signature. She lifted the envelope. I held the camera so her words landed on video. Leave now and do not return without permission. The officer repeated that line to the whole group. My brother's nostrils flared and he climbed in. The minivan rolled off and turned the corner slow. The officers waited until it disappeared from view. Expect contact by phone or through others. He capped his pen. Document everything and call if they appear again. I nodded while the neighbor kept filming in silence. Do you want a safety walkthrough before we go? Yes, I stepped back and they entered in pairs. They checked windows and tested locks with quick motions. I followed and counted the deadbolts with them. My breaths finally matched their steady pace. At the spare room door, the taller officer paused. Anything missing or disturbed? He scanned the floor. Only the mark on my arm and the phones. We logged both. He glanced at the screen again. Charge it and keep the footage ready. We returned to the entrance and he handed me papers. These detail the warning and the report number. Save copies in more than one place. He tapped twice. We will patrol this block for a while. I locked the door and watched them descend. The neighbor slipped closer and lowered her phone. Want me to share this to you right now? Yes, send the full file and keep a backup. She nodded and typed fast with focused thumbs. Ping me if you hear that van again. My screen buzzed with the upload notification. I saved it to the cloud and then to a drive. I cleaned the cracked glass with a piece of tape. A hairline line ran across like a thread. I plugged it in and waited for the battery icon. A new text popped up from an unknown number. Meet in the morning at the bank or else. No name, no greeting, just that single warning. I captured a screenshot and forwarded it to the report. 3 dots appeared, then vanished like a tease. The neighbor knocked lightly and checked my face. Do you want company tonight? Her voice was gentle. No, I need quiet and clear thinking. She squeezed my elbow and turned toward her door. Shout once if anything shifts out there. I deadbolted and slid the chain into place. I moved a chair under the handle and tested it twice. The house felt different without their noise. I stood in the hall and listened for tires. The silence held and I kept listening. He waited outside the bank doors and blocked my path. Inside now, he tapped the glass like a timer. I kept my phone camera open and lifted my chin. We talk with a manager or we walk away. He pushed the door with his shoulder and went first. A teller waved us toward a desk near the vault. The branch manager approached with a neutral smile. State your purpose today. His hands rested on the folder. My brother slid forward and planted both palms down. Transfer the title to me, immediate release. I set a printed budget on the table and pointed. Short loan with oversight, food and rent only. My brother's laugh cut through the lobby like a cough. Skip the crumbs, I take the roof. The manager's eyes narrowed and shifted to my screen. Any legal authority shown here? He gestured for documents. My brother pulled a folded letter from his jacket. Mother swept in from the ATM line and joined him. She placed a stamped sheet beside the letter. Family arrangement, efficient and private. I did not touch their papers and kept recording. Verify signatures and call your legal line. The manager lifted both sheets with 2 fingers. He checked dates and frowned at the letterhead. These are copies and the notary stamp looks wrong. Mother tensed and reached for the papers too fast. The manager pulled back and kept his voice even. Forensics aside, we require all parties present. I am present. I kept my gaze locked on him. And I do not authorize any transfer today. My brother leaned close and lowered his voice. Sign or I move the kids into your yard tonight. The security guard stepped from the hallway like a shadow. Keep distance. His hand hovered near the radio. My brother took a step back but kept his glare. New option, I slid a written plan across the desk. Short-term grant into a supervised account, weekly receipts. Mother snorted and lifted a perfectly arched brow. You like control more than blood. Pick stability or keep fighting on camera. The manager read the plan and nodded once. This is feasible with joint oversight and limits. My brother crushed the paper in his fist. She wants chains, not help. He made for the exit and then spun back. He dragged a blank form from the brochure rack. Fine, write that you refuse basic shelter. He shoved a pen toward me and pointed at the line. I met his stare and clicked my recorder louder. Threat registered, I will sign nothing under pressure. Mother grabbed the pen and started scribbling fast. She abandoned family needs in public. The guard moved closer and placed a hand between us. Stop writing accusations here. His voice stayed steady. Mother released the pen and exhaled through her nose. The manager cleared his throat and lifted a phone. I will contact legal and confirm your report number. I slid my incident printout across for him to copy. He typed the digits and glanced at the clock. You are covered with a no trespass notice at home. My brother pulled another card from his pocket. A prepaid SIM number and a scribbled message. Answer from this only, bank tomorrow again. He flicked it toward me like a dare. I let it fall and watched it spin. Final offer, supervised funds start today. I held out a debit card with a set limit. Groceries and bus fares only, receipts to me. He looked at the guard and then at the manager. Add cash for deposit and remove limits. No, I placed the card back in my wallet. You want the house, you get nothing. Mother's lips pressed thin and her shoulders rose. You are done to us, her voice barely carried. The manager lifted his hand and asked for quiet. Decision time, he laid 2 forms on the desk. One to begin monitored assistance, one to decline help. I signed the first and slid it forward. Mother recoiled like it stung her fingers. My brother eyed the signature and shook his head. He turned toward the door with sharp steps. We come back with someone you cannot ignore. Mother followed and left the fake letter behind. The guard picked it up and tucked it away. Copies for fraud review, just in case. I asked for my own copies and received them fast. The manager printed a contact sheet with referral numbers. Security will walk you out the side entrance. He glanced toward the street like he expected watchers. Call if they wait outside, do not engage. We reached the alley and paused by the exit. The guard scanned the sidewalk and lifted 2 fingers. Clear, he opened the door and held it wide. I stepped through and kept my phone chest high. A rideshare slowed at the corner and then sped up. Across the avenue, my brother stood by a payphone. Mother shielded the receiver with her palm. They watched me cross and did not blink. I kept walking and ignored the stare. Their heads tilted as if timing something. My phone buzzed twice with a private caller. I declined and set it to auto record anyway. The same line rang again with relentless tempo. I answered and listened without speaking. Static crackled, then a voice I did not expect. Family Services, we received an abandonment report. The voice stayed clipped. Name and address, I asked while the crosswalk blinked. He read both out loud without hesitation or stumble. Are minors in your residence tonight? Papers rustled near his mouth. Not mine, verify with the police report number, now. He paused and keys clicked through the line. Confirmed, a complainant used your surname and claimed neglect. Note this call is captured to cloud storage. I kept walking. An agent will conduct a welfare check within the hour. Send them to the shelter desk, not to my door. Understood, he said after a beat of air. Would you like to attach a written statement? Yes, text me the portal link immediately. A ping hit my screen while he breathed shallowly. I ended the call and scanned the avenue for watchers. Across the street, my brother cupped the payphone again. Mother shielded him with her body like a screen. I lifted my camera and zoomed without shouting. He spotted the lens and turned his back hard. A bus roared past and blocked my view, then cleared. My rideshare approached and tapped its horn twice. I climbed in and locked the door with a click. Home please and avoid that corner, the driver nodded once. Behind us the phone booth stood empty and wet. My stomach nodded while the car picked up speed. The driver glanced at the mirror and measured my face. Need a quick loop to shake a tail. Yes, add 2 turns before my street. He cut left and then right in silence. No van followed, no headlights hovered still, I watched. We stopped half a block from my building. I paid and asked him to wait with engine running. He kept the engine steady and watched the curb. I walked to the stoop with my phone recording. Nothing moved, then a locksmith truck rolled up slow. The van idled beside my steps with hazard lights. A man hopped out with a drill bag. Work order for a lock change, unit number. Show the paperwork, I kept my back against the door. He held up a printout with a bogus stamp. Who requested this? He checked a name on the page. A woman with your last name and a man. Order is invalid, you attempt entry and I film everything. He hesitated and looked toward the corner. My brother stepped out from behind a hedge and waved. Do it, she's locked us out illegally, his voice carried. The driver in my rideshare tapped the horn longer. The locksmith's gaze bounced between the 2 cars. No court order, no change tonight, he backed away fast. My brother cursed and kicked the curb in frustration. Mother marched up holding a plastic folder like armor. Community elders will witness your cruelty, she lifted her chin. A couple from the building across started recording too. Everyone capture faces and plates, I called without blinking. Mother lower. Ed the folder but kept her stance defiant. Sirens approached from the far block again. My brother melted toward the hedge without admitting retreat. The locksmith slid into his van and pulled off. 2 officers rolled by and slowed as they passed. I pointed at the corner while my pulse thudded. 1 unit looped around for another sweep. The other idled near the hydrant and watched quietly. Mother tightened her grip on the folder and smiled. We serve you with notice tomorrow morning. The officers heard it and wrote something down. I stepped inside the building and climbed fast. The rideshare peeled away and left the block quiet. My door chain slid into place with a dry scrape. I tilted a chair under the knob and steadied it. Then I opened the portal link from services. The form loaded with boxes asking for clean facts. I attached video of the stair scene and sidewalk ambush. I listed phone numbers used for threats and lures. I described the forged work order without adjectives or guesses. Then I hit submit and waited for the confirmation buzz. Another message hit before the buzz arrived. Tomorrow 9 a.m. notary verifies your mother's document. The bank manager had forwarded a fraud appointment instantly. I typed a quick reply and confirmed with a thumbs up. Across the hall, a floorboard creaked and then stilled. I walked the rooms and checked each latch twice. Nothing missing, nothing turned over since officers left. At the desk, I printed copies of the fraud forms. I placed them in a folder marked for legal use. A car door slammed outside and I stood very still. Footsteps climbed, voices murmured near my landing. A knock landed soft and traveled through the wood. Maintenance, a cheerful tone, tried to sell comfort. Work order number, I asked through the door. A pause stretched, then a retreating shuffle down the stairs. I dialed the non-emergency line and reported the attempt. The dispatcher logged it and flagged repeat harassment. Patrol will pass again within the hour. I thanked her and kept the handset near my ear. Then my phone flashed with a new unknown caller. Pastor George here, your mother asked me to mediate. He spoke like a referee, trying to sound gentle. This is a property dispute under active police documentation. I can bring both sides to a calm table tonight. Not tonight, not here, not without legal counsel present. He tried again with a soft pitch and long breath. We can house them for a week if you sign. Do not link housing to my deed, not once. He paused and then cleared his throat with care. I will inform her that your boundaries stand. I hung up and placed his number in my log. 2 minutes later, my doorbell rang twice in quick bursts. I peeked through the peephole and saw a courier. Delivery for unit number with signature required. I opened the top lock and kept the chain fixed. He held out a flat mailer and a stylus. Sign here for certified service. He avoided my eyes. Who is the sender on the label? He turned it and I read the origin address. A law office I did not recognize. Interesting. I accepted the mailer without breaking the chain. Please step back while I retrieve a pen. He shuffled back and checked the stair quietly. I closed the door and filmed the envelope edges. Then I opened it and slid the papers free. Emergency petition for occupancy transfer and supervised access. A hearing request stamped for tomorrow afternoon. Attached affidavits alleged my refusal to house minors. No judge signature yet, just a filing acceptance barcode. I photographed each page and numbered the images. I called the bank manager's direct line immediately. Move the notary meeting to first thing. Done, bring the petition so legal can scan. I laid out the packet and clipped the corners. Then a second envelope slid under my door. Handwritten note, 2 lines, no name. Pick family or face public shame tomorrow. I grabbed a glove and sealed it in plastic. Then I texted the case number to the officer. My doorbell rang again before I hit send. The neighbor called through the door with urgency. Your car registration is posted on a forum. Which forum? I cracked the door 2 inches. The neighborhood feed, anonymous account with your plate number. She shoved her phone through and showed the post. I snapped a picture of the screen and timestamp. Save that and email it to me now. She nodded and pulled back her phone fast. We are watching the street from 3 windows. Keep footage rolling, message me at any change. I gathered the packets and zipped them tight. I set 3 alarms for morning appointments and transport. I laid my clothes out for quick exit movements. Then I placed my keys by the folder and paused. A light tapped across the window like a tiny code. I pulled the curtain and saw nothing at first. Then a laser dot drifted along the wall slowly. It crossed the frame and landed near the peephole. I stepped to the side and stayed out of line. The dot flicked off, then came back near my feet. I crouched and checked the hallway through the camera. No one stood outside in the common area. I texted the neighbors to scan their windows again. Laser from the building opposite, 2nd floor. A reply came back fast with a room number. I dialed the non-emergency line for the 2nd time. Pointing lasers at residences reported now. The dispatcher logged a patrol car for that address. Stay inside with your doors secured and shaded. I thanked her and kept the curtain closed tight. My phone vibrated with the service's confirmation buzz. A caseworker would call me at 8 sharp. I added that to the stack and exhaled once. The hallway settled and the building went quiet again. I stood by the door with the folder in my hand, listening. My alarm fired and the caseworker called on the dot. Confirm safety and location, her voice clipped every word. Secure for now, meeting the bank first. Upload your files after that, a text ping hit instantly. I will expect recordings and 2 new threats. I grabbed the folder and left before doubts woke. A patrol cruiser rolled past and slowed at the corner. The officer lifted 2 fingers without stopping. I took a rideshare and watched the mirrors. No tail, just a quiet street waiting to turn loud. The bank doors unlocked at 8 sharp and we entered. The manager waved me over with brisk motions. Notary is ready, fraud specialist is waiting. I handed him the petition and the courier slip. He skimmed the barcode and nodded once. The notary examined stamps with a bright loop. Impression mismatched, serial not in registry. She printed a certificate of findings and slid it over. I signed and she stamped again with a fresh seal. This statement will carry weight at the courthouse. The fraud specialist scanned the fake work order. Phone number routes to a prepaid tree. He traced calls and built a short timeline. Same cluster as last night's harassment. He attached a summary for the police portal. My screen flashed with an unknown warning. A group chat invite with my plate as the name. I showed it to the manager without comments. He took a screenshot and emailed security. We will flag this account to our contacts. Mother stepped through the lobby like it was hers. My brother flanked her by half a stride. They saw the notary seal and slowed but kept coming. Withdraw the report and sign a transfer acknowledgement. The guard appeared near a planter and folded his arms. Leave now or stand by in silence. The manager's tone cut clean without raising volume. My brother smirked and tapped the petition packet. Judge will listen to truth, not your papers. I set my camera on the desk with the lens exposed. Mother drew a breath and placed a new envelope down. Character references, pastor and 2 family friends. The manager slid it back without opening. Save that for the hearing, not here. She kept her palm on it like glue. We are done, I pointed at the exit doors. The guard took 1 step and they retreated an inch. My brother mouthed a threat I refused to parse. The notary watched him with a flat stare. Security escorts are available, choose quickly. They pivoted toward the sidewalk and regrouped outside. The manager handed me copies in a thick stack. Take a direct ride to court administration now. On it, I shoved the stack into my bag. We left through the alley again as a precaution. At the courthouse intake, a clerk scanned my files. Emergency calendar at 1:30, her finger tapped the slot. Service proofs are good, bring the video on a drive. I uploaded clips to their portal from the counter. Sit tight nearby, you will get a text. I stepped into the hallway and called the officer. New documents filed, laser incident logged, courier recorded. Understood, I will swing by the courtroom. Thank you, I pocketed the phone and stood tall. Footsteps approached, then veered away at the T-junction. Pastor George turned the corner holding a folder. Peace talk before the judge enters, he raised a hand. We have a courtroom, we do not need a sermon. He lowered his hand and tried a softer tone. They are afraid you could ease the pressure today. Pressure comes off when they stop the campaign. I watched the elevator numbers creep toward this floor. He angled his head toward the bench doors. They will ask for occupancy for the children only. Then they should petition services, not my title. A bailiff opened the courtroom and called cases. Our matter appeared second on the sheet. I sat forward with my folder open and pens ready. Mother slipped into the opposite row with perfect posture. My brother leaned close to her ear and whispered. The judge entered with quick steps and eyes up. Counsel appearances, 2 lawyers stood on their side. I remained pro se and cleared my throat once. Self-represented, exhibits already submitted online. The judge nodded and looked down at the petition. Request is for immediate occupancy transfer. Basis includes alleged neglect and available rooms. Response contains videos and police notes. We will hear brief remarks, then review exhibits. He pointed with his pen and the room tightened. The lawyer tried to start with a story. The judge raised a palm and cut it short. Stick to facts, open with legal grounds. Counsel pivoted and named a statute without citations. The judge frowned and asked for case law. None. My turn, I stood and kept it clipped. Recorded demand to relinquish deed under threat. Forgery indicators on multiple documents with attachments. Active trespass notice and ongoing harassment reports. Safe alternatives offered and declined repeatedly. The judge opened the notary certificate and read. Irregular stamp and serial mismatch, supported by affidavit. He clicked my clips with measured care. My brother's voice filled the courtroom like a bad ringtone. A few heads turned, then turned back to the bench. Counsel asked to exclude the stare video entirely. Prejudicial and private family dynamic. Denied, the judge barely looked up to answer. Video records overt coercion tied to the property. He moved to the work order and rubbed his temple. The judge addressed my brother directly for the first time. Do you possess any lawful right to occupy? My brother stared at the table and stayed quiet. The judge waited, then underlined a line on the form. Petition lacks standing and fails on its face. Mother stood abruptly and raised the envelope again. Character statements show necessity and urgency. Sit down, the bailiff shifted toward her twice. The judge spoke without force but with finality. Use social supports, not counterfeit legal tools. He signed the denial and added 2 more lines. Temporary protective conditions, no approach within 50 yards. All communications through counsel or the caseworker. Counsel opened their mouth and then closed it. Appeal rights explained on the last page. Outside the courtroom, my phone buzzed rapidly. The caseworker texted a short update from intake. A shelter spot confirmed for the children tonight. Parents must attend intake and follow rules. I forwarded it to the officer and saved the thread. Mother walked past me with her chin high. Blood remembers who fed it, her eyes flashed. I held up the order with the distance terms. Obey this or face immediate arrest. She stopped, then turned away with measured steps. My brother drifted close until the bailiff stared him down. He pointed at the paper and muttered about betrayal. I slipped my phone into my pocket and kept moving. Pastor George trailed me for 3 paces, then fell back. The hallway swallowed their voices and I kept walking. Downstairs, the manager called with more news. Fraud report filed with the state database already. Your copies are archived at the branch. Appreciate it. I paused near the exit doors. A text from an unknown number flashed like a match. You won today, tomorrow we take the rest. I captured the screen and added it to the log. The officer replied within seconds with a short plan. Forward threats, we will request a detective consult. I exhaled once and headed for the station entrance. On the sidewalk, the neighbor waved from a bench. I brought a thermos and my extra charger. I sat for a minute and let my pulse settle. She passed the charger and watched the courthouse steps. Your street stayed quiet, for now. I stood and checked the time for the next meeting. Services wanted an in-person intake for documentation. Walk with me if you want fresh air. She linked her arm through mine without comment. Across the plaza, my brother lifted his phone and filmed. We entered the agency building and checked in fast. The caseworker greeted us with a firm handshake. Processing for the children is underway already. We need your statements to close the loop. I signed 3 forms while she read back details. She handed me a printed safety plan and pointed. Call the on-call number if anyone appears tonight. Patrol units will have copies of your order. Change your entry routine for the next week. I nodded and stored the plan with the court packet. Outside, my phone vibrated with a withheld number. I answered and waited without speaking first. Static, then a child's whisper reached my ear. Auntie, Dad said we live in your yard tonight. The line clicked dead before I formed words. I dialed the officer and put the call on speaker. Child just warned me about camping in my yard. Stay inside, units en route, his voice clipped fast. I texted the caseworker and the neighbor at once. Feet scuffled outside before I finished the message. TH. Rough the peephole, I caught a flash of canvas. A pole scraped concrete and a stake clinked. My brother barked orders that made the children flinch. I flipped the porch camera to live view. The distance order timestamp glowed on my screen. Violation. I opened the window 2 inches and spoke loud. Back away from this property now. He froze, then waved the kids toward the grass. No entry allowed, I added, filming the tent frame. A siren wailed closer and his head snapped up. The cruiser stopped hard and doors flew wide. Hands visible, the command hit like a switch. He lifted his palms and tried a calm smile. An officer checked the exact footage I had. Violation documented, she noted, pen tapping once. Mother arrived with a phone held at chest level. We are here for shelter only, her voice pitched high. The officer pointed to the sidewalk boundary line. Children will be transported to the assigned facility. Mother's mouth flattened, but she stepped back 1 pace. The oldest child eyed me through the gate. Is there food there? Her voice barely carried. Yes, staff will meet you at intake. The officer nodded and radioed the escort van. My brother shifted like he might run. Face the car, the command ended that option. They cuffed him with deliberate movements and no fuss. Mother started a live stream and angled it upward. Look at this cruelty, she tried, sweeping the camera. The neighbor panned from her window and captured everything. The van rolled up and the back doors opened. A caseworker stepped out with printed forms ready. We have beds and dinner waiting, her tone stayed practical. The children climbed in one by one without argument. Mother hovered at the bumper, jaw tight and trembling. I slid the court order through the mail slot. Copy for your records, I called through the wood. She picked it up and crumpled it, then stopped. The officer stared until the paper smoothed again. Mother folded it flat and tucked it away slowly. They loaded my brother into the cruiser with care. Booking for protective order breach, the officer confirmed. Mother tried to follow, but the bailiff's partner blocked her. Contact goes through the assigned channel only. She spun toward my door and froze at the lens. Final choice, her voice went low and dangerous. Choose us or enjoy your empty castle. I held up the safety plan against the glass. She read the number on the bottom and laughed once. The cruiser pulled off and her laugh died mid-breath. The caseworker knocked gently for a quick signature. Intake acknowledged, we will update you tonight. I signed and handed back the pen without talking. She squeezed my shoulder and jogged to the van. It pulled away with the kids peeking through slits. The block settled into a wary quiet. The neighbor texted me 2 clean clips and a thumbs up. I filed them with the incident number and exhaled slowly. Another message buzzed from a withheld account, 3 words. House or war, choose.